Well, everybody, great to see you. We just are basking from the glow of NEVEE 8, and was part of the reason for having this meeting. But I decided purposefully I scheduled this meeting to be a little later than I usually do in the beginning of a month because we give us time to get through the our biggest events of the year. Plus, to be honest with you, I had pictures to edit, the video to edit, and I still have to get the stuff uploaded, which is going to happen soon. So fear not, it is coming. Um, in fact, on that topic, I did get a new video camera uh, to use for these events, and they it seems to have worked out overall. The video is good. The only thing it's challenged with I think would apply to many video cameras is there's a lot of background noise in on the an inside event like Castleton. So if you're close to people, it's fine. I had an auxiliary microphone, um, and uh, hmm. Hopefully, I'm not freezing too much, but let me know if there's people have problems. Thanks, Steve. I'll keep an eye on this, or people let me know.
Oh,
But
looks good. Sounds good from here.
uh, uh, uh,
Might have just been my connection.
well,
Max
you never know.
headroom.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but that
And
was the only
John,
the only downside was the microphone was it was just struggling a little bit, but there's a lot of, especially when there's announcements and all that background in, and I think that would be true with many cameras. But
Might want to try playing around with a unidirectional mic as opposed to sort of a general pickup mic.
yeah, the one I had was one of the auxiliary that clips onto the top of the camera, has, the classic foam video camera
Yeah.
pointing towards the object that you'd be talking to, and it did pretty well. It's just that
Uh,
you can tell that some of the sound was a little, unless you were close by, it could be a little, I wouldn't say garbled, it's not the right word because it was intelligible, just a little bit off. But remember the price point that I chose, there's always trade-offs. So I was looking for an efficient, reasonably cost efficient approach here. So and you know what? They have great customer support. I asked them on the video settings because I tried 1080p because I said, you know what? I don't need more than 1080p in reality for the general purpose. But I was getting a lot of jerky when I tried it. I used it around the house the weekend before the event, and it was very jerky. I was surprised, and so I reached out to customer support because I bought it on Amazon, but you can reach out to the people, the seller, and I said, hey, is this just because the price point of the camera is it just FAD, functions as designed? And he goes, well, why don't you try the 4K setting at 60 frames per second and see if that helps? So I did, gave it a test run, and what a much better improvement. So it seems to be optimized for 4K at 60 frames per second. It does have an 8K setting, which is a little bit unrealistic, but it's only at 30 frames per second. I read on the reviews that was not, people generally didn't like that setting. It doesn't very good. So anyway, the good news is I will be posting this stuff. I even did a test run, which I have yet to review. I'll try and do it the next day or so of Larry had done a nice little demo more for me personally on the tiny SA and nano SA or devices. And it's more, the videos will not solve all your questions. It'll more invite us to have Larry come on and pepper him with questions with a Zoom meeting dedicated to it at some point along the way. But it was more for me to see how good the camera can handle trainings, because that's the second reason I bought it was because I have a tripod for it. It's just simply, if we do something at the Brookline, put it on the tripod, and I've got a hundred, 128 gig card on there, so it'll have no trouble filling, of recording a few couple hour events without a problem. And last but not least, they were kind enough, and I asked them, hey, how do I get, if I ever need batteries in the future? They were kind enough to send me a freebie. It arrived in the mail just a couple of days ago. So I got a third battery for the camera. So it's like I can't complain with the price point. It did pretty well. Anyway, you guys could be the judge of my videos. I am not going to win any Oscar for them, but hopefully hopefully you'll get to enjoy it for what it's worth. Um let's see here. In terms of announcements, not a whole lot, but I can say there is one event which I think I am probably going to, Bob, you can feel free to add more color to this, but there is a New Jersey Antique Radio Club Hamfest and Swap Meet on the 22nd. It's from 8 to 12. I assume that's still on, Bob, but in case any of you want to venture a little bit beyond your normal, New England region, go no further to our friends in New Jersey. Bob, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add on that regard, but it's good to see you.
I'll be there with my usual pile of tubes and some nice radios and some radios that'll need to be resurrected. I don't know how long it would take to get this. It's in Parsippany, which is about, I don't know, 15 miles west of New York City. So I can't really say, depending on what part of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, or wherever you guys happen to live. Just be your own judge as far as how to get there. But it's a nice little event. It's only 4 hours, and it's just a lot of fun. And so we get to see a lot of people. And it's like any other event that you guys have for your club. So feel free. I'll be there, and you want to come down. So thanks for announcing that, John. I appreciate it. I'm sorry a little late. My wife just started a job a month ago. She was late coming home for dinner. And I wasn't here 2 weeks ago because I was deathly ill. I was just, I don't know if I had COVID, the flu, or what, but I'm still kind of healing, and I'm almost there. I'm about, I don't know, 75% there. I was able to go outside, and my wife took my car to work today. She has to drive almost an hour to get to work, and I had her car, and I worked on it. I changed the oil and did things out there, so it was warm enough for me to be comfortable. So I'm coming around, and then I have a backlog of stuff down in my basement I have to fix that don't belong to me. So that's going on too.
Well, it's good. At least passes the time when you're feeling a little bit under the weather. But it's good to see you back.
Never a dull moment. I noticed that Noah was petting his black cat too while I was petting my black cat. I just set my laptop down on the dining room table, and my black cat just happened to jump up there, and then I clock in. There's Noah petting his kitty.
He's been helping me in the garage quite a bit lately.
So he's helping you put the heads back on the Chrysler?
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, but I have a good shop kitty. He checks my tubes and does other things for me, tests capacitors, and I've got him trained well.
Right. Well, but thanks. But I think that's before I turn it over to Bob for a moment, does anyone have any other announcements they'd like to make in terms of anything we should be aware of that I haven't announced? All right. Well, I know we're in sort of a quiet time. Things will sort of roll up before long, and once April starts coming along, so Bob, I'll hand off for you a few minutes. I don't know if you have anything you want to say or anything, but do jump in there.
Well, just a few quick comments. First of all, I see Tom P is in his new shack. It looks really good.
1953 was my shack looked like that.
Yeah, it looks like all vintage equipment. It looks great. So we're talking about NEVE 8 tonight, but I just wanted to comment about all the work that goes into it behind the scenes, and thank folks for doing that. A lot of folks in our club put a lot of time and effort in the background that you don't see. Example, Roger made a couple of trips down to Castleton to check out logistics, talk to our contact there, decide where to put signs. I know during the show, John did his fabulous videos. Ralph experienced a death in his family, but still managed to make a significant effort and bring silent auction items to the show. Larry did some backup. Bruce Phillips did a lot of announcing, and we had good results in the auction. Lots of Roger's family helped out with admissions. Larry's wife Elaine helped out. So there's really a lot that went into it. So big thanks to everyone for doing that. And also thanks for everybody who showed up and was a seller or a buyer. That's it for me.
No, thanks,
Thanks,
Bob.
John.
Oh no, thank you, Bob. That's a great summary. It's true. It takes a village, right? Um, and we saw the whole Sansusi clan there, which was great because we were a little bit shorthanded, but they came in, they filled in really nicely, and of course with the usual Elaine and Larry and Bruce jumping in and helping out with Larry on the silent auction, and so it was really appreciated. Everybody chipped in. Um, in case some people didn't notice their chat, Isaiah happened to mention there is a CVRC Hamfest in Hannaker, New Hampshire this Sunday for you hammers. So if you were looking for something to do, there is something going on. And actually, Isaiah, if you have a chance, if that is a regular event, do email me if you have a chance, and I'll try to add that to the calendar, especially if they do if they do more than one event during the year, I'll happily add it to the calendar. Um, let's see here. Before we start, actually, I was remiss in doing it last meeting, but I just actually wanted to just recognize very belatedly, because I learned belatedly, the passing of Adrian Zeffert. He was actually for many of you probably remember, he was a regular or pretty much a regular in our Zoom meetings back when we started in 2020. And apparently I found out he passed away in last June, and I was blissfully unaware of it, even though I was aware of all the radios Nels was selling on his behalf and did realize who it was for. So I just thought it'd be nice, it'd be remiss if we didn't announce it, because especially in the fact that losing any member is always sad to see. But it's certainly in case of Adrian, he was an active contributor, and of course he was very involved with his church, and I had been to his house once before to get a radio from him, and we had many nice chats over email or when he was on the Zoom meetings, and he certainly he had the typical British singular wit. So, he'll be missed. And so I just wanted to sort of recognize that in case people maybe somehow didn't know about this. But at any rate, Adrian, this meeting, we'll dedicate this meeting to Adrian for all his and thank him for everything. We'll always remember for all his contributions. And he did, by the way, if you don't, he did a terrific presentation on estate planning with a slant towards vintage electronics, which it is posted on our website. If you go to the resources video archive, I do post that because it's a useful thing for any of us to sort of remind ourselves of, the inevitability. And you did a nice presentation and gave it to us, so at least will always be remembered for that regard. But at any rate, on a positive note, we should be all rubbing our hands and enjoying what we came. It was a terrific event at NEVEE 8. It was a cold but sunny day, bit blustery. It was 20 degrees warmer the day before, and on Sunday it was like barely hitting 30 with about a stiff 20 or 25-mile-an-hour wind. And so I remember when I got home, I was unloading the car, and it was because outside. And I was being tortured by just unloading the car. And I was only out there for like maybe 10 minutes, but it felt like a very long 10 minutes. So, but that's okay. We were inside enjoying the warmth of our electronics, especially anyone who had anything powered in to help warm the air, right? But anyway, so now we can certainly let's do maybe a little round robin. People can show if they can share an experience they had there, or if they bought, or if they didn't make it, or is anything else going on, any projects or anything they acquired or are looking for, any of that. Oh wait, there's one more. There is another ham fest, because we have more things going on in this area than meets the eye in Hampton in a few weeks, Seacoast Amateur. Well, Hugh, I might have enough time to slide that in then into our calendar, because there's still time. Thank you very much. At any rate, so let's see here. Let's just go around. I'll just randomly pick somebody here. Rob, we'll let you lead off. I know you weren't at NVA, at least not physically, maybe in spirit.
No, I didn't quite fly out there. All right, let's see if I hit share.
Oh, well, I have to actually enable it. That's my fault. There you go. You're good to go.
Okay. All right, you see a screen there?
Sure can.
Okay, this is a purchase actually on Craigslist. It's
Oh,
a Wilcox Gay Recordio.
recording.
Best I can determine, it's from 1949 to 1950. That's best I could get offline. Some of the components, or a couple of them had date codes of 48, so it's probably about right. And this is how I picked it up. No knobs, screws are missing. Somebody had it open,
Mm.
and the cabinet is in kind of a rough shape. See, that's what I was trying to figure out what to do with. Are you seeing this?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I can see that the material is worn right off.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean the wood's even gone,
Yeah.
and well, I never really came up with a good solution for it. Let's see.
Oh, it's easy. Just send it to Greg.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yes, that's true. If you want to convert time to money, yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, taking the top off the turntable, this is what it looks like inside. AM, FM,
Oh,
single speaker. There's a coil, a loop antenna in the top, and there's a FM, sort of a folded dipole on the bottom. This is the interesting part. This is the underside of the. Yeah, I took these pictures for assembly, not for a presentation. But
hey, we
anyway,
don't mind it.
yeah, this arm here, you see on the corner, the lower right corner, that swings with the tone arm over to this area. When you put the tone arm down, this slot here engages in the threads, and that's what makes it track for recording, cutting a record.
Oh,
Yeah, it sounds interesting, but first, outside of the obvious things, this is how I had it set up on a bench. I built a little wooden thing to hold the turntable, and I could work on the electronics pretty freely this way. All I had to do was unhook these connectors. I could flip it over, whatever. So that worked out. The biggest problem was the function switch. So it had been torqued really bad.
oh,
This is the
yeah.
assembly that does the detent,
Mm-hmm.
and where it's supposed to fit tightly on a square shaft. You could turn that shaft and that thing can go anywhere it wanted to. So what I did is I took it apart, and I glued it. I had to figure out the right detent,
Mm-hmm.
glued it, but you see how it attached to the wafers was just these press fit things. And it looks like
Yeah.
they just shoved them through it. Yeah. So that was no fun. But anyways, it was an interesting thing. And this is how I ended up putting it back together and then gluing. It's where those two posts were, gluing the switch back together.
Oh,
Yeah, and I hit it right. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure if I'm going to goof it up, this is where it's going to be. But
mm.
hey, it worked out. The next big deal with it was the crystal cartridges. Zero output. This is their pickup.
Mm.
Yeah. So I saw some YouTube videos where this guy was opening them up and putting in a little piezoelectric device. So I thought I'd try it because, hey, if it doesn't work, well, it was probably going to go to the junkyard anyways, right?
Yeah, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah. So when I opened it, look at this mess. This is what it
Oh.
looks like inside. And this is a frame that they put in there for torsion, they call it. And this is
Mm.
where the needle connects to it and the output of the crystal. So this is what I came up with. Fit a piezoelectric device in that frame and then reassembled it all. And this was the recording cartridge, which was also zero. There was nothing out of it whatsoever. And it was just a big goopy mess. So it clamps to this, and I put some, it's a caulk that hardens, but I figured it had enough, flexibility, it wouldn't bust apart. But we'll see. But anyways, so these piezoelectric devices are cheap. They really are. They come in various sizes. So I bought the biggest one I could fit inside of that cavity. So that was kind of interesting.
Wow.
And this is what the turntable looks like. You could record really slow or fast as 78 RPM.
Okay.
Yeah. And you
Let's see.
see the way they hold the record is there's a pin spring loaded. If you put a 78 record on it, the pin just pushes down. But when you're going to record, you put it, their discs are like a cardboard with lacquer on it.
Hmm.
And it came with two discs. One of them was cracked pretty bad, but this one, whoops. Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, see, that's where that pin is. And the platter looked in good shape.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So here's the record. But here's something interesting. Well, you can see where the pin sticks through.
Yep.
Look at the date on it. 11/5. I think it's got to be 46. Or I don't know, 4 something. I can't read.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to say. The number is either a 6, maybe an
Yeah.
8, or an 8. If I could,
Yeah, it could be an 8 too. Maybe that would make a lot more sense. But they didn't do it. I don't know.
So that's a recording someone did, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
The question is, they would be able to play it back.
Yeah. Just wait a minute. I'll get there.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, good, good. Oh, don't let me steal your thunder.
Oh, no, don't thunder. So anyways, this is what I ended up doing. I just polyurethaned it, sanded it, polyurethane, but you can see this was not made to be wood presented. They glued a fabric to it.
Yeah.
But, I was thinking about that and I thought, man, I don't think I could do that kind of fabric work. And this on the bottom, I just put some contact paper. The intersection of this vinyl and the bottom had the fabric too, but the fabric went on first and then the vinyl went over it. And so when trying to get all the old fabric out and just age alone, this vinyl was pretty fragile.
Yeah.
So anyways, not a museum piece, but good enough to collect dust, which is all I'm to do.
You know what? That actually, I like the way that looks. Yeah, I mean, you come up considering the type of wood and what they put over. I think you did pretty well.
Yeah, there's another piece. Pardon?
Was that a spare belt in the bottom of the case, in the bag?
No, it was some shrink tubing, which I don't understand, but somebody was in there,
Okay.
So anyways, there's another piezoelectric device in the microphone. Appears to work. Well, you get sound out of it. That's one thing I guess I'd have to experiment more, is the actual bandwidth of these crystals that I put in there. They produce a voltage, so they do play, but I'm sure they're not of music quality. So anyways, here's the functions. This is a function switch that was messed up. You could either play the phono, play the radio, record off the radio, or record off the microphone. And this is volume, tone, FM, AM, and tuning.
That came out pretty well. You just
not too
did
bad.
you now, did you get exact replacement knobs? Did you get this approximation?
No, I had these. It's more like I had 4 of them and 2 others that matched.
Hey,
I don't know what they would look like. I can't see on any
Yeah.
photos or anything.
no, I think I
The
did
other
pretty
thing that was
well.
interesting, yeah, the turntable was jammed entirely.
Hmm.
And you see this neutral, slow and fast. I
Mhm.
don't know how it happened, but all it does is it switches the idler gear from 2 different levels, to get different speeds. But it was just jammed, so it couldn't move at all. I just worked the turntable off and just popped it back in position, and it works great. So I got lucky there. Now let's see if this really works. Let's see if this is that recording. I won't play the whole thing, but it's from I put 1946. I don't know if it's
Is it playing, Rob? So maybe that did you enable sharing of audio?
getting sound.
Yeah. It's a share setting if memory serves. Yeah, I don't think we're getting it yet still.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything?
No,
No.
no, that's what I was saying there,
Oh.
Rob, is that I think you can share when you're playing like a like any like even YouTube or something, you want the sound, you have to, there's a setting when you share that allows you to share the audio portion.
Ooh. Do I have to do that here?
Yeah, I think you probably would if you're playing a recording or something. I expect you would.
You also might have to unshare the photo and then share the other window.
Yeah, that's not a good point, Howard. Yeah, that may be also
Oh, sorry about that. I thought you were getting the sound.
yeah, we still look at
Oh.
the finished product of the where you're
Uh,
with
where
the
do the share button's gone? What the heck is going on here?
I can stop it if you want. I'll do that for you. And then you can
Yeah,
just
okay. So you want me to try to share the audio or just skip it?
no, try and share it. I'd like to, I
Right.
wouldn't mind hearing it if we can have some success here. That'd be
So,
great.
do I just press share and find a, or is
Yeah,
it?
but I think in the share settings, the memory serves, or let me see if I can do it, see if it give you more uh, detailed. Let's see. Where is the, yeah, when you click the share button on Zoom, there should be a share option somewhere in the window that says like share sound. You can just click on that. I'm doing this from a Mac, admittedly, so I'm giving you
Share
an
sound.
approximate.
See that?
Yeah, there you go. That's what you'd
Okay.
um, see if that would help. There we go.
Oh, good.
This is Betty Bray speaking. I'm now bringing you the program of Fans in the Gutter, brought to you by Fans Radio 324 East 4th. We will now interview Mrs. Rose Drucker. Here you are. Are you having a nice time this evening? Sure am. Since it's Fans in the Gutter, I'm just a rat. And now you'll hear a word from Mr. David Drucker.
Well, the great crew and are all shoveling off and having a big time.
Mr. Ray Farnbrook.
Come up and see me sometime.
Oh, and the grooms of day.
It's been a great fight, and glad I won.
MWL.
It's been swell having all the gang here. I'm enjoying this immensely.
I'm going to call her Helen. That's the girl. My name. Mrs. Stecklin, how do you do? Dr. Stecklin.
Well, I had one line in my speech in mind, but when I cleaned it up to the radio, there was no speech left.
Well, happy to have you all here. The Eats are coming soon. Goody. Well, sorry. I think the sounds are great. Thank you. Happy.
All I need is another drink, and now I'll be able to say something.
Let's see. Do we have any more room here? Yes, I think we do. We've had a very nice party here. We want to have Sheldon Carroll speaking.
Just want to get the rest of the glass.
Is that all? Who? No, Henry.
Look,
Yeah.
Classic.
it's awesome.
Turn it back to Betty Bray.
Betty Bray. Who else is going to say something?
We still have quite a little bit left on the record, but I don't want the thing to shut off and make me sound like I'm an nincompoop.
Okay, come on. Oh, we really have had a lovely time. And thank Mr. Fennel very, very much. Come on, the green. Come on. The evening isn't over yet. Oh, there's plenty more room on there. There's plenty. Come on, Ray.
Find your way in. Hooray for Wilkie.
That was neat.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
considering it was recorded right off the airwaves, I take it.
I just played the disc and oh, it's
That's the place you heard so much about. They're giving a party in honor of Harold and my approaching wedding.
okay. I don't think anybody wants to hear
No, I
any more of
just
this.
figured that we've had a lovely time, and everyone should see the presents that we got. It's simply marvelous. And I don't know what else to say, so I'll turn it over to Harold. Well, I'll tell everyone who's here. There's Mr. and Mrs. Farnbrook. Let's see, who's here? Mr. and Mrs. David Drucker. I can't remember Henry's last name. Mr. Henry Capson, Dr. and Mrs. R.K. Stephen, K-A-P-S-O-N. Yeah, and Mrs. Stephen won a prize for imitating a little girl making a speech. Oh, no, I mean reciting a piece.
All right, we'll just cut that off. I don't think anybody wants to hear this stuff. So,
Oh, it's cool.
anyways, that's the whole thing. I can't cut a record because I don't have a needle. I bought one on eBay. It said it was for a Wilcox Gay Recordio. And when I get the needle, there's a sheet of paper in there. It says this will not work with a Wilcox Gay Recordio crystal. So sent that one back, ordered another one, and nothing. I'm not getting any response whatsoever. So now I'm dealing with that. So I have yet to see if the crystal for the recording works. Although I will say if I play the radio and say record off the radio and turn the volume up, you can hear it singing. You can hear the music right in the cartridge. So it's doing something.
You know what? Considering what you started with, you did really well, Rob.
Thanks.
Because
It wasn't as bad as I thought. The cabinet was pretty beat up. I am really surprised that that record is playable at all because it's just cardboard with some lacquer on it that they basically just scratch a needle, a surface into it. So, yeah, it's surprising that it lasted this long. I might try the other one, but it has a crack in it, so I don't know. Maybe line it up. I don't know. We'll see. Okay,
Bill,
so
that was fun.
all right, cool. All right, can you kill the share from there?
I can.
Alrighty. Great.
But that's all you had, Rob?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, the other one's just a hippo.
Why not show it?
Ta-da. It's just nothing really dramatic.
But that was your mother's radio.
Yes, it was. Well, the story, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, when we cleaned out her house years ago, I got she had two radios there in the basement. This one, and then another one that I haven't looked at yet. I just kind of put them away and forgot about them. Anyways, when my uncle was in the service during World War II, when he came back, he bought my mother a radio, and I believe this is it, because this one is from 46, I think. Yeah, 46. The model number is 46, and it's from 46. So this one might be the radio that my uncle bought for my mother back then. So I'm getting it all cleaned up. There is one question, if anybody knows. The back cover of these, they can be purchased, but it holds on with some special clips that at least people on the internet is asking. Anybody know where you can buy the clips? They're really weird S-shaped kind of things that hold the back on. Has anybody done that with a hippo? Found the clips? Or have a workaround?
So Isaiah mentioned some 3D printing. But how about Greg? I know you've restored at least one of those.
Yeah, I don't know if the audio is coming through or
Oh
not now.
yeah, can hear you. What you can hear you well.
Okay. Well, I've actually tried making some out of just brass shim stock. I had an original one. You can do it. It takes some effort, but there's another workaround you can do. You can bolt the back to the chassis. Just drill 2 holes in the side end of the chassis and make some wooden dowels.
Yeah.
The spacer. You can do that too.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. See, what my
It's got-
plans are for this radio is to finish it entirely. It's pretty much done right now, but put a back on it and then give it to my younger brother for his birthday. So, yeah, mom's old radio.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah,
And hey,
unfortunately, nobody's making those clips. The clips are kind of rarer than hen's teeth.
Yeah, so I was afraid of. I like the idea though. Said just a couple spacers off of the chassis itself. That should work fine.
hey, let's see here. Isaiah dropped a link in. If you click, you could try clicking on that and see what
Yeah, okay.
it's more to see what they look like for any. The link, I guess, shows you a picture of what they look like.
Yeah, those are the clips.
I don't know if this is any.
All righty. Well, thanks.
No, thanks, Rob. That was great. All right, let's see here. Russ, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. First, quick thanks for Steve. I looked through my IF transformers and nothing with that number on it. But if you find a different number when you get the chassis out, let me know and I'll dig through again, see if I can find anything for you.
Oh, thanks, Russ. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if I can share my screen, I'll show you my one and only purchase.
Oh yeah, you should have screen sharing rights.
Let's see. Oh, I see it. Hopefully that's it. So this is a Lafayette HE10, and it looks a little bit like at least part of it looks like a Helicopters, but it's not. It's actually quite a bit different. 9 tubes. There's actually 3 different versions of it. It was made by a company called Trio, which, if I understand correctly, eventually became Kenwood. Anyways, I was pretty excited to get it, and I barely noticed that there were 2 knobs that were wrong. So I am looking for a VFO pitch knob, which should look just like the meter adjust, the S meter, and then also for a band select. So if anybody has anything like that, I know it's probably kind of a difficult find, but if anyone should have something like that, I'd be interested.
That's terrific. It's funny. I don't think I remember seeing that because I'm not sure in my photos if I caught that, Russ. Maybe you grabbed it before I got to take a photo of it.
Yeah, probably, because I got it as soon as I could, as soon as I got away from my table and I saw it. So yeah, it's really pretty cool. I know that it works. I haven't actually fired it up yet, but we'll do that carefully when I get some free space on the bench.
Sure,
Those are real neat looking radios. Is that missing a trim ring on the band spread knob? Should it have an aluminum
it's
trim?
actually missing. Where is that? Oh, other pictures I've seen seems like it's maybe not supposed to have one, but I'm not really sure. It's hard to find some good pictures of it. I've got actually looking at the manual. Yes, I guess that should be silver as well. So I don't know if that's original or perhaps from a Helicopters because they look somewhat similar.
Yeah, I got an Helicopters S76, and those trim rings just keep falling off, and I keep losing stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know if these are paint or what, but
kind of looks like paint, judging from the other ones.
Yeah, it's sitting here on the floor, but I'll have to take a look at that. I really haven't gotten to it yet.
Well,
but it's very kind of cool that the top opens up with a latch with a lid. The bottom opens up for all the adjustments. So we looking forward to working on it.
with a steady hand, you could get, for example, I wonder if something like Tamiya makes great acrylic
No,
model paints, to try like whether a silver paint might work on that, but it would just be a rather laborious uh job to like do all the knobs that the original knobs.
well, it's all right. It's worth a shot. Maybe the hand's not as steady as it ought to be, but we give it a shot.
Yeah, because it's really the great thing is that, just I haven't modeled in a long time, but when I use it, my brother had talked to me and, convinced me that Tamiya, use Tamiya paints, on models and you'll really be happy with the results. And I have to admit, he was right. They were terrific to work with. And because it's acrylic, it's water-based. So that if you make a mistake, you can clean it up easily instead of the old oil paints where you're like, looking for turpentine, you're trying to get it off. Especially since the knobs look to be ridged. That means, trying to get that oil paint out is just a pain in the neck. Um, but something to think about because you can, I'm sure you can get, Tamiya paint even probably on Amazon or your local hobby shop. There are still maybe a few out there, although they seem to be shrinking by the day.
Exactly. Well, I'm sure Amazon would be able to help me out. I know I've gotten some white acrylic paint for some similar projects. So, yeah, good advice. Thank you, John. Definitely want to get all the knobs looking the same. That's if I can find the other two.
It kind of looks like there's a recess for an aluminum ring there, if you look inside the knob.
Let's see. Let me duck down here a little
In the
quick.
picture, anyway.
That's the way the Halicrafters knobs are. They got an aluminum trim ring that sits on the end, and they always fall out after you get old enough.
Yes. So yes, you guys are correct. It is an aluminum trim ring that is in here.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Is it? So it's just chipped up? Because I look almost was wondering whether it's paint, but that makes more sense actually.
Or corroded.
Yeah. So, well, the good news is then maybe I can pop them out and buff them out a little bit.
Yeah.
I may have the knobs for that. If you could send me the OD of the knobs, the
Okay.
little one for the VFO pitch, and I assume the center one is the same as the IF gain, but just has a white line on it, like the AVC MVC has, and the tuning one. I've
Yeah.
somehow managed to accumulate three HE30s, which are the next model after this, and
Okay.
so I've got plenty of knobs.
Oh, okay. Great. In fact, I was looking at, looks like the HE320 is similar, and I found I have it written down, not in front of me, but I found some others that are similar, but even then it would be difficult to find. So thank you. I can't see who was talking. You sound like Tom or Carl. I couldn't
That
tell.
was Carl.
Carl, KPD.
Got it. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, I'll send this to you.
Yeah. Yes, and the trio later became Kenwood, and Lafayette imported a lot of the stuff under the Lafayette name. The HE30 and the KT320 are identical, except the KT320 was a kit. And that was my first shortwave radio back when I was about 12 years old. And actually, it was my first novice receiver for quite a while, and still got it. I've got all the accessories you could get except the 6-meter converter, and that I'll find one someday. They show up every now and then. I also have the matching transmitter, which AMCW transmitter, which was never imported by Lafayette, but it matches the KT320 exactly. So that's kind of a fun station.
Yeah, nice set. You have one of the matching speakers for it as well.
I've got the speaker, I've got the 2-meter converter. I just don't have the 6-meter converter.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I'll get this info out to you. See
Sure.
what they are. Appreciate that. Yeah, in fact, as you know probably already, that the KT200 was the kit version of this radio.
Oh, was it? Okay. All right. I've always liked them. Always liked the look of them, and Glad you saw it before me.
Yeah, I was, I all I wanted to do was come home with at least something that I thought was really cool, and this definitely fit the bill.
Good.
And yeah, that's it for me.
Oh, no, that's great. You don't see those very often, Russ. At least I rarely have. There was plenty of ham gear at our events typically, but usually they're the more common, popular ones that we see. Not that they're not fun to see, but these don't come across very often.
No, no, they don't. I'm also looking on eBay in case I find one that, had a rock dropper on it or something. But
Mm,
we'll see. But yeah,
all right. Oh, well, thank you.
all
Okay.
right. Yeah, thanks everyone. I'll try to end this share as here it is.
Great. Great. Well, let's see here. Hugh, what you were there. I saw you there. How'd you make out on your table and so forth?
I was there. I sold a bunch of stuff. I don't even remember what, but the car was a lot emptier on the way home, so that was good. Um, I went with Steve, so he had and Adam both actually. So we had three tables between the three of us all piled in my car. So that was kind of fun and nice to have a pal around so you could go walk the show while someone's taking care of your stuff. Um, I got some interesting books from a gal, a widow, whose name escapes me right now. So that was kind of fun. Some old technical things and old inventors, that kind of stuff, that her husband used to like. I did buy I could share, let me see here. Google Chrome, what are you doing? There we go. Hold on a second. So share. Uh, let's see if this comes. Did that share?
There we go. Something's starting to share.
Oh,
There we go.
yeah. So this is Stanford research. I went to a couple weeks before. I'll get back to the show, but a couple weeks before, I went to the largest ham radio flea market in Vermont, which turned out to be one little room in a hotel and maybe a dozen or 15 guys selling stuff, guys and gals. But on the floor was this thing for $10. It's a dynamic analyzer, which is basically source and spectrum analyzer up to 100 kilohertz. But it lets you look at the transfer function for things. So, you could put an amplifier in between and it'll show you the frequency response and phase response and that kind of stuff. It's also used for control system analysis, motion control and stuff like that. So for $10, even though it weighs 55 pounds, I decided to get it, and it actually turns on and appears to run. Now, the only thing between me and it is the 550-page manual.
Oh my God.
So that's what's going on there.
Is that a keyboard socket there on the front panel?
Yes, yeah. So I got it looks like an old IBM AT keyboard connector.
Yeah, yeah.
They still actually
Floppy
make
drive.
this is from 1999 or so. But they still make it, and this floppy drive has been replaced with a USB drive and USB socket and whatnot. So, I'll reach out to them, but I'm not about to spend $1,000 for an upgrade to do something like that. But it'll be fun to play with, and I'm looking forward to, putting some audio gear in its path and see what it shows. So there's that. Um, at the show, do you see the Hammerlund there?
Sure.
I bought this at the auction. So Bruce
Oh,
was
that's
there.
right.
He had put a bid of $100 on it. So I went up, and he had done that to a bunch of things. Good guy that he is to try and get some interest and not let things go for too cheap. Um, so I bellied up and went up there and put $110 on it, and I got this. He said actually the clock is on eBay for $100, so I like electric clocks. And, I will. Then it looks to be all there, so I will get to it somewhere on my list. But I thought it was kind of cool.
You know, it's the first HQ 100 I've seen in the flesh.
Ah,
And I was surprised at how diminutive it is compared to the other Hammerlands. You know, it's a little baby one.
yeah.
Cute.
Okay.
Who's
Yeah.
what is
So I look forward to making it go.
Hey Hugh,
That'll,
what is the script in the lower left-hand corner of the clock? You know, it says
what is the script in the lower left corner of the clock?
I thought it was Telecron. Haha.
Telecron. Oh,
Hey, all right. You're gonna
Ashland.
That's right. Whoop, bring it up there a little bit, Hugh. Whoop, you're still breaking up there, Hugh.
Waiting for my tender loving.
Oh, there we go.
What's that?
No, you were breaking up there, and unless when you had it fully, when you enlarged the Hammerlin picture, it seemed to kill your audio quality.
Ah, okay. Well, here we are.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop the share actually. Hold on a second
yeah.
here.
No, that's terrific. And that's right. I forgot you were. I was standing right there when you grabbed that baby, and I forgot about that. Yeah, that's in terrific shape too.
And I want to show my latest restoration here actually. So my son-in-law's grandparents passed away in the past couple years. His grandfather last spring. Um, and I was at their house cleaning it out before they sold it with my in-law. And in the pantry was this old waffle iron, Sunbeam waffle iron. Check this thing out. So my daughter saw it and said, geez, can you fix that for me? And I said, well, sure, I can do that. And it had asbestos wire inside and asbestos power cord, as things of this era had. So I brought it home and I had it about 9 months, and I sent her a picture sort of in process. And she said, oh, what's that? A waffle iron? I just bought one. I love it. So here I am restoring the family heirloom. And my daughter forgot that she asked me to do that and went out and bought her own waffle iron. But I will give it to my in-law, my son-in-law's mother, whose family it was, and she could use it or pass it to one of her other kids. But I rebuilt it with Teflon wire inside and had an interesting time finding a high temperature power cord. Ended up, it's a heater cord for a Ford truck that, has a block heater. But it's the only place, there's this UL rating, HLN or something for heater cord, but, high temperature insulation on it. So I got that and put it on it. And the last interesting thing, the Teflon wire I used was harvested from old oxygen sensors wires out of the car. I have nice Teflon insulated wire in there with some kind of a non-copper, stainless alloy or something, the core of that wire. So if you ever change your oxygen sensor, save the wire.
Well, there was a report of people who complained about missing all their oxygen sensors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, along with their catalytic converters. Yes.
But now, if only that were, that's actually really nice. I like that nice chrome finish.
Yeah, and it makes a decent waffle, it turns out. The temperature control is this really fine thread. It had to come out like 14 and a half turns. I counted them, so I got it back into the right place for the bimetal strip in there. But after I sprayed it with some ham, the first round of batter stuck completely to the top and the bottom, but it came out. There's quite a bit of butter in the batter, so it came out. So that's what I've got going.
That's cool. Now, if only it were an AM FM waffle iron.
Yes,
I wasn't going to say it, but I was thinking it.
Yeah.
Well, Hugh, I forgot whether you were at the last meeting, but no, it did share an AM FM can opener. They do exist.
Really? Oh, I didn't know. I wasn't at that meeting. How about that?
Yeah, I'm kid you not. It was. I've never seen one. Was it who made this? Hamilton Beach? Was that
Hamilton Beach? Yeah.
And so it was electric can opener.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, with the AM/FM radio in it. How about that?
Cool.
That's cool. Thank you. I wonder what year that went for whatever that waffle iron was made. Was it
That's
60?
a good question. I did not think to look it up. But well, I'll give that a shot. Model W1. So let's see. There's some patents listed, but no date. I could probably figure it out for the patent, but I'll take a look. Somebody else go and see if they come up with something.
Yeah, that was great. Well, thank you, Hugh. That was quite fun. So so Howard, how'd you make out there? I know you had your beautiful Zenith console that sadly didn't find a new home, but it was a
Yeah,
terrific sounding
it
radio.
didn't. And I said I wasn't going to get anything if it didn't find a new home, but I got stuff anyway, and I took the Zenith back home. Let's see. Well, they are not nothing Telecron here. I don't know if you can see
Very
those.
nice. Yeah, those are really nice.
So this was kind of prearranged. These are beetle plastic clocks, and yeah, very unique and very nicely marbled on the finish. And that's going to go with my collection of beetle plastic stuff.
That's beautiful.
And I had gotten a couple small parts. The only other thing I did get was a Kenwood TS 520. You know, I haven't been on the air in probably 3 decades, and Larry convinced me that I should probably give it a shot again. So I haven't quite set it up yet, and I have to set up an antenna somehow in my small quarter-acre lot and probably get back on 80 meters and join the net or something. But that was it for me. I oh yeah, Hugh, I think the person you were referring to earlier was Bill Hawley's widow. I think her name is Frances. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, Fran. Yeah, you're right.
That sounds
So
good.
yeah, so that's about it for me. A couple really unique things. Like I said, the two clocks, which are kind of cool.
It is. I love the
Yeah.
look. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
didn't see
They were
that.
at the show, Howard?
I had prearranged this with
Oh,
Bruce. I saw them in his pictures and I said, Bruce, how much for them? And he said, well, what do you think? This is what I know. I gave him an offer. He said, absolutely not. Then he brought him anyway and gave him to me for what I offered him. So,
Nice.
so yeah.
that's
Yeah.
terrific. I love the look, especially,
Yeah.
you know, they
So,
need
so,
to,
something more for the Beetle plastic collection. So,
Yeah, no, that's cool. Speaking of Telecron, I had picked this up recently. I don't know if you could see it, this clock.
yeah, let me spotlight so I can type.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is. Sure. Digital. Like, oh, you don't see the Telecron digitals all that often.
Yeah.
Most of the
Yeah.
time they're the analog face.
That was at an antique store up in New Hampshire somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
Yeah. Well, there's a middle
A nice
town.
shape, you know, a little
Yep.
Novus and you're good to go.
Right. Yeah, no, the plastic is good. There's no cracks that I saw, so that's always the key. Right. And yeah, we'll see.
Nice one.
But those are cool. I had looked at Bruce's clocks in his pictures, but not too closely, apparently. That's a good find, Howard.
I keep admiring that antenna over your, I guess it's your right shoulder. It looks like it's a rabbit ears combination VHF, UHF. Yeah, I've got the same one.
I believe it is. There we go.
Yep, that's the one. It's
The
got
rotary
two antenna wires coming out of the back of it.
It does. There they
Yep,
are.
I know it well.
Oh,
It's a beauty.
Yeah, when I see old antennas like this, I have one of the ones with the two strips of metal and you turn the knob and the
Oh
two
yeah,
strips
yeah,
of
yeah.
metal come out. Those are kind of cool too. Yes, there we go.
yeah, you got quite a stash back there, Hugh. We could have more.
Yeah, it's gone a little crazy, but I'm finishing off some woodwork in my house, some trim work. When I'm done with that, I'm gonna be hitting this place hard. So
That's great. That's great. But
Can't wait.
so hey Steve, I know you were in tow with Russ there.
Yeah, actually with you and
I mean, Hugh. Sorry about
and
that.
Uh,
Adam, and
Sorry,
yeah,
apologies.
I thank them very much for helping me. I wasn't able to carry anything to move the stuff in, so I really appreciate the help from my compatriots there to get stuff in and out of the show. So let me just share. Let's see. I guess screen here. Um, oh, come on. Let me get to my web browser. Why can I not get to my web browser?
Hmm.
Oh, oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, it's pretty sluggish. I lost my place. Sorry for the scrolling, guys.
No problem.
There we go. Yeah, so I had a prearranged sale for this Heathkit IM13 VTVM, and then I managed to unload a X-Tech installation tester. I'm kind of surprised that they're been trying to flog this thing for years, and it's good for testing film capacitors, just like a lot of these VTVMs that open up. I don't know whether they're old enough to have paper capacitors or whether they've got polyester film or a dye film. Some of the plastic encapsulated and ceramic encapsulated capacitors could be either, and it's hard to know. But with one of these insulation testers, you can put 500 volts on them and find out pretty quick whether there's any leakage or not. So I'm using a nice old giant size General Radio 1862B Magometer for that. It's all vacuum tubes, but the handy 9-volt operated DMM is probably more suited for most people. But anyway, I finally managed to unload it.
I remember that. The Intel?
Yeah, the Intel Play microscope. My kids had fun with that. I mean, that was way back. Cripes, I don't know, early 2000s. It's got to be. I mean, compared to what you can get off of Amazon for $15, it's pretty crappy. But it's actually made by Mattel when you look at the label on the thing. Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
But the thing that we had a lot of fun with is it does stop motion. So you could put a little seed and some dirt underneath there, and had a little slide cover thing that had enough space for it, and then you can watch the thing sprout over the next couple of weeks. I ended up with a box of these 332nd Allen wrenches, and I'm trying to flog off the excess. And I'm expecting a bunch of stuff I didn't sell. I was a little disappointed. I thought there'd be more interest in restored VTVMs, but oh well. I guess I'll have to take them to eBay. So I had an HP current probe for an oscilloscope, and another IM13 Heathkit VTVM, and then Heathkit IM11 VTM, and then Heathkit IM18 VTVM. Plus, there on the right, all of the the battery holders that used to be in them. Because I, of course, yanked that out and replaced it with a battery eliminator. And I've been working on this General Radio honking output meter. They advertise it. There's a little baby brother that it has called the General Radio 538A, and it goes like from 1 milliwatt to 5 watts. And one of the interesting things about it is it's got interesting transformer arrangement in it that changes the load impedance that it presents to whatever you're connected up to it. So, if you want to know what the output impedance of your hi-fi amplifier is, you just twist the impedance knobs on this thing until the meter peaks. And then you can read off the meter. Yeah. Or you can use it for, just as an output meter for doing alignments, on your regular old radio. But this thing they advertised as measuring anywhere from the 1 milliwatt output of your crystal cartridge to the 100 watt output of your theater amplifier.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's so big. It's got
it's huge.
a ton of high wattage load resistors up there in the top with a lot of ventilation to get them out.
So I imagine it's got a little bit of heft to it.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a heft to it. It's in a solid New England walnut French polished case. Pretty amazing. Yeah, I need to refinish the case. So if anybody knows some tips on French polishing, I would appreciate it. I haven't attempted it yet, but it's something I got to do on this one.
Calling that Greg Van Beek.
French polishing.
You're breaking up, Greg. I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
Yeah, try disabling your video again. See if you're...
Okay. Yeah, I've never done that either.
Yeah, I remember talking to Alan Douglas when I discovered that these things were French polished. He couldn't believe it. He thought they were lacquer finished, but I happened to try some alcohol on it, trying to remove some labeling that the MIT lab had stenciled on the thing, and to my surprise, the finish started coming off. So, by golly, it's shellac.
Oh.
So and I did have a couple acquisitions. An impulse buy. I probably should have given a little more consideration, but I've been wanting a master voltmeter for a while, and this one's an 87B instead of the more common 87A. And when I got the thing home and opened it up, oh man, it's like the battery corrosion is just. I think the meter survived, and the switches don't look too bad, so I could probably clean it up and restore it. But I probably have to rebuild, just scrape everything off and rebuild the entire circuitry.
It'll be a labor of love.
Well, exactly. And then at the end of the show, I swung by a guy who had a bunch of Heathkit stuff on his table, and I was going to ask him about this IG-102 signal generator, hoping that he had a cheap price on it. And he just picked the thing up and stuck it in my hands and said, "Take it home." So,
wow. Now that's a good deal.
That's a good deal. Yeah. I haven't opened it up, so maybe it's all rust inside, but I don't know.
Well, the outside looks good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So let me stop sharing here. Let me get back to my video. All right. Let me just show you my current project. I've had this for a few years, but
all right.
This is a B&K 177 BTVM in the older, paint scheme. And it's so old that it actually has 2 tubes in it instead of just one. The most of the 177s have a pair of silicon diodes in place of the 6AL5, but this one actually has the tube. So I had to do a little digging to find the schematic for something this old. All the up until earlier this week, all of the sites on the internet that had a schematic for a 177 all had the newer one. So
looks to be a nice shape.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got a lot of fading in the
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't see it
yeah.
so obviously when you first showed it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of wear, you know. It's been well used in the lab. So yeah, not the most nice cosmetics, but I've got a newer one actually that I'm also going to restore. So I'll probably keep that one and flog this one off. Well, thanks.
Oh no, thanks, Steve. That was great. Great experiences. So Dr. Pereira, how are you doing?
Let me just unmute here. And unfortunately, I missed all the fun up north there. I took a
Oh,
little trip down to Florida to get a little warm weather, but I did get some interesting things when I was down here. I think you might be intrigued by these. Let me just share my screen for a moment. Let's see if we can get this to work. Come on. There we go. Can you see that all right?
yes.
That is a cloud that is moving at over 200 miles an hour in the middle of my sunset. And my wife said, "What's that?" And I just grabbed my camera and I took a picture of this thing, and it was unbelievable. Absolutely a cloud moving 200 miles an hour. I just absolutely couldn't figure out what was happening. So I took some pictures of it and then I massaged those pictures a little bit. And I'll just go through these with you. Let's see if I can get this to work. I enlarged it, and by God, it's still a cloud. And I darkened it to see if there was anything glowing or something, and it's still a cloud. Then I increased the saturation to see if there were any hot spots or colors, and there's the increased saturation. Couldn't figure out what this was. So I took another picture as quick as my camera would cycle because it only was visible for maybe 5 seconds, and the camera took its time. This is the second shot that I got, and you can see this sort of glowing thing in the middle of it. And remember, this thing's going by very, very fast. And I don't think I've ever seen a cloud with a glowing center before. So I enlarged it, and then I darkened it, and then I increased the saturation, and I still couldn't figure out what it was. My wife and I are having thoughts about a flying saucer from outer space disguised as a cloud. You know, that would be a sensible thing. If you're going to go surveil the Earth, you wouldn't want to just be a plain old flying saucer up there. You'd want to wrap yourself in some camouflage, like a cloud. So I took the third picture I could get as this guy, and I enlarged it and I darkened it. Now you can see it's obviously a flying saucer. There's no question about it. No matter how hard these guys try to camouflage themselves, that is a flying saucer. What about the heat trail? Well, we increased the saturation. Yeah, there's a little bit of red there. And so I went to bed wondering what this was. I looked all over the internet, put in all sorts of things, cloud, weird stuff over Key West and so on. Nothing. And the next day I heard that it was the SpaceX rocket that had exploded and had thrown these little pieces. But all the pictures of these pieces that I saw on the internet had long tails like a comet, and nothing looked like this. So I still wonder, maybe it is a flying saucer. Anyway, I have another thing that I think is neat. I'm a member of a group of collectors of boat anchors, and I made a little talk for them, and I thought I'd show you this thing. This is a Collins. Any of you are familiar with Collins receivers. This is clearly a Collins receiver. But if you look more closely at it and you sharpen it up a little bit, it doesn't say Collins receiver on it. It says low frequency signal generator. And this is something that absolutely nobody has ever seen before. It is very, very, very exciting. Take a look. Let's just go through this thing. If you look on the left, you'll see band selector positions. 50 to 150 kc, 200 to 300 kc, 400, 500 kc, 200 to 600 kc. And you can see the band selector is on the right there. The meter is reading percent modulation. And down below those two knobs is a knob that has the word rotation on it. And the middle is off, and the left is counterclockwise, and the right is clockwise. So I have visions of the dial of this thing, moving under servo motor control. And on the right of that is a speed control, which is going to modify the speed at which the knob is turning. And there are all these other controls. The ones on the right are a little more typical. You have modulation, gain, and you have output level. And on the right, you also see standby and on and off. And that is a very standard Collins switch. You see that on all the Collins receivers. And then on the far right, you see external mod and recorder and output. So I thought you'd like to see this. This has actually been donated to a museum, and they are going to officially announce it at some point. But I'm giving you a secret peek at this thing before they announce this and before they dig into it and see. I just can't wait to see the cover come off this and see what's inside. So that's a really fun thing.
So Tom, is this a Collins museum or a test equipment museum?
It's a radio museum, one of our types of museums. Anyway, I'll give you more information I'll show you the inside pictures and all that when I get a chance. I've been working, helping to restore the radio equipment in a World War II destroyer-like ship that was the very ship that General MacArthur stepped off of when he returned to the Philippines. So it's very historic. It sank a U-boat, and it is currently a museum ship down here in Key West. And I'm going through this ship, and one of the things I'll do at another meeting, because it takes quite a while, I'm going to take you through all the radio equipment on this ship. It's a time capsule.
Oh, boy.
This ship was incredibly historic. Not only did it bring MacArthur to the Philippines, but it participated in Vietnam actions and in World War II. As I said, it sank a U-boat, and it participated in the Cuban Mariel boat lift, in which 100,000 Cubans were taken out of Cuba when Castro was getting frisky and so on. So I'm going to take you through all that equipment, but I thought you'd like this one little thing. You go around this ship, you open the paint locker, and there in the back of the paint locker is this lovely little Collins receiver, and it is pretty standard. It's a 51J4 receiver, and I just thought I'd start poking in it. I have pretty much free run of this ship, so I can get in these things, and I figured I'd take the top off it, but I looked at it, put totally standard Collins 51J4. And you can see the tag up there, 51J4. And when we open it up, take the cover off the thing, we can see that it's not in horrible condition considering its age. And you can see there's some salt corrosion in there, but I suspect that we're going to be able to bring that baby back into life again. Doesn't look hopeless. The 3 mechanical filters are nice to have in one of these rigs, and kind of a neat receiver to play with. The Depot Shop apparently worked on it on 30 September 1975, so it wasn't all that long ago, just 50 years. And it's going to be a lot of fun to fiddle with this baby. Anyway, I just thought you'd enjoy seeing those pictures. This is the back of a Collins 651-S1 receiver. It's a very interesting receiver. probably from the 90s. And it looks, you can see that it's obviously got some corrosion there. The wiring is falling apart, but I think that that's going to be restorable. If you just sort of peek up over the back of this receiver, that's sort of a quick peek at what I'm going to be showing when we go through all the radio equipment in this boat. But you can see it is just panel after panel after panel in the main radio room. Then there's the transmitter room, and then there's the secret room where the code machine is stored.
Hey.
So tune in next time, kiddies, and we'll have a good show for you.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that, Tom.
This is another goodie in there, but I think that's probably enough. I also thought you might be interested in a bunch of Harvey Wells stuff. For those of you who are hams, you know Harvey Wells made some interesting stuff. And in the lower right of this set of pictures is a mystery Harvey Wells transceiver. And this is something I've certainly never seen before. It's really, really impressive. Looks like a kind of a rotating dial on the left of the thing. And I would guess that's a 6146 final. And that thing is a transceiver. So that's going to be fun to learn more about. And this is, interesting, Lev, Harvey Wells marine radio set transceiver. You can see the middle knob. Obviously, is going to switch between the radio channels on marine radio channels. But what the heck is it doing with an AM broadcast receiver inside this radio? It does definitely not have a loop antenna, so it isn't being used to as a direction finder. But maybe, if you're gonna be out there on a boat and you want to know what the news is saying, you got your AM radio.
You want to hear the ball game,
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Here's the bottom view of it, and it looks pretty typical of the wiring at that era. And here's the entire manual of the thing, and I think that's really fun. And there it is with its little handset. You put it on the wall of your fishing boat or whatever the heck you have. And if you don't know how to rig it up, they will tell you. This is a view with the panel off. You can see the dynamotor in the lower left and a power transformer, rectifier tubes on the right, all down at the bottom there. And here's another view of it and another view. And this is kind of fun. This, if you don't know where to put it, this one shows you how to mount it in your boat. I think that's really neat. Now, the interesting thing, there's also a transmitter tuning control and a deck call speaker, waterproof speaker that goes on the deck if you can't hear the radio. And the thing that intrigues me about this is the schematic diagram of the set. And I couldn't get it all in one picture, but I'm going to take you through the 3 panels. And I don't think I've never seen a schematic diagram without the name and model of what it's all about. And this schematic diagram has absolutely no information on it about what it is. So the manufacturer never put any information on the schematic from left to right. Anyway, I thought you'd enjoy that, the little trip through my adventures while you guys were having fun at the show.
Most of the marine radios of that era did have AM. I think in part, like you said, for weather and news and so forth. Plus, the AM band at that point was like 2 megahertz. So it wasn't that much of a leap to just throw on a AM general coverage receiver. I've done a couple over, and it was not until the late 60s that they went up to VHF.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that.
Oh, that was great, Tom. Well, we have much to look forward to, in this future Zoom meeting then. We'll have to rope you in for a presentation when you are ready to do so in the future. Think of this as the trailer. Stay tuned for the movie in the summer. A summer blockbuster, right?
You bet.
But that's terrific. But so let's see here. So Greg, how you doing out there? I know you're working with only half a without video.
Yeah, I actually dug out some books I was going to show, but
But you could try
nothing's been.
sharing. Yeah, it's worth a shot. What's the worst can be?
Well, I just got them to hold up. I don't have pictures of them.
Yeah, all
So
right. Give it a shot.
see what happens.
I'll spotlight this.
So a lot of people probably never. This is the spec on antique. It's 1982.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
RCA
unfortunately.
model 21.
Oh, okay. You sometimes your audio is actually clear and then it breaks up.
Oh, no.
But
Check.
that's all right. We can manage. Oh. Oh, another one from the same authors. Oh yeah, yet another one. Maybe what we'll do is if that was okay. Ah, yes, I've seen those before. That's supposed to be one of the books to have. Serious Silvertone. Oh, how nice. Oh, I like it. All the advertisements. Oh, that's fun. That's a book I wouldn't mind getting myself. Is that I know you may have to answer this after you kill the video, but is this a book that's still available or is this just, out of print and just lucky you find it on at someone's table?
I'll kill the video a second. I think it's out of print, but you can probably find copies of all these on eBay.
Yeah, because I love those the old advertisements in particular. Oh, okay. Wilco, yay. Another good one. Oh, who's the author again? Ah, right. I've seen the name before. Yeah. Look at the switch. Oh, nice. Wow, you got a whole host of books.
Yeah.
That's nice. So those probably all those Phil Collins. Different Phil Collins, presumably. Oh, yes. We were just showing that just recently, that radio. Not so long ago, the past, few months. Interesting book. Oh, yes, I've seen that before. Oh, that's great, Greg. Actually, if that was all they show, you probably kill your video. You can if there was something that may have not come out well, you may as well give the opportunity to clarify.
Yeah, I don't know if any of the books, if the printing was reversed in my video, the lettering was backwards. I don't know if it was that way on your end, but
No, it was clear.
No, it was correct for us.
good. That's the main thing.
Well, that's
A lot of
great.
these I picked up. Some of them I picked up at one of our meets, or sometimes I'd find them online, cheap enough.
Hmm.
all good,
Good.
useful material.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
So good. So I really like to that Silvertone book looks very appealing. I think I'm gonna have to go find one. Um,
Yeah, it's actually compiled by that fellow named Mark Stein, who did a lot of he did a whole series of books, value guides and things back in the 90s, I think, and early 2000s.
oh,
They're
okay.
good for identifying radios too.
Oh, okay. Great. Hey, Carl, I'm gonna call at you anyway. How's it going up in way up in Maine? Oh, hello, Carl.
Sorry about that.
That was good.
I think I was muted.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, haven't gotten too much done lately. I since the last meeting I was at, I picked up a nice looking Collins KWM2A, which is a radio I've always kind of lusted after. That was the top of the line when I was a kid, and it came with a mobile power supply, uh, heavy duty mobile power supply. So I just hooked that into the Astron 12 volt supply I have, and uh, got it working. And one of the two transistors that makes the DC into AC popped. And I found out after a little research they are unobtainium. Though someone does, excuse me, does make an updated board for it, which replaces the transistors with others. It's not too bad a price, so I ordered that. In the meantime, I put an ad out on the Collins reflector saying I was looking for one of the power supplies, and I got all sorts of people responding saying, "Oh, I've got one for 500, I've got one for 350, and all that plus shipping, and they're heavy." And I got a email from a guy in Maine. He says, I've got one. You want it, it's yours. I'll ship it to you. Wouldn't take any money for the shipping or the supply or anything. And the supply had already had all the caps replaced and everything. So I'm just doing a couple more modifications for it and want to get that up and running. So that's
Nice.
the latest from here.
Nice. Oh, very good. We'll have to see the finished product when you get it completed.
I will share it with you. It certainly is a nice sounding receiver for sideband.
Very good. Thank you, Carl. Now normally I would call on Isaiah, but I know he doesn't have a mic, so I want to make sure that it's that he's not left out hanging. But I know that Isaiah, if you do in the future get a mic, or the future is, yeah, we'll definitely be picking on you for whatever you got going on. Um, but yeah, so I guess that leaves me. Um, so I will show you, let me share my screen. Let me just make sure I got the stuff up here. I guess I got to share. Okay. So let me share my screen first. Do it. Yeah. Let's see. Can you guys see? Let me, can you see this right now,
Yep.
guys? So just a little background. Sort of in the back of my mind, as you guys can imagine, you start out on digital electronics, just looking at a certain, for me, it was always just German radios, always been happy, but still of course, still my love. But of course, it sort of grows, and I have some American sets and I have a couple of Japanese sets and stuff like that. It's fun because, it's like some of it is sentimental. We grew up and you had a lot of these sets in the family that were, not going to win any audio awards or anything like that, but they were just fun for the time. But at any rate, my dad had one of the things he was also, and I think some of his genetics. My father was electronics aficionado, and he would get all these different devices. And he bought this Regency scanner that and it's a crystal set. You actually go buy the crystals and plug them in. So like in this one, you only have 10 channels. So you choose your frequencies well and you plug them in. I thought about getting one, so it was really cool. And it just sweeps across when it's scanning, it sweeps across the bulbs doing this sweep. And but I thought, you can find crystals on eBay or whatnot, but it's the right frequency and it's very limiting. So, I kind of just, but in the back of my mind, I always kind of wanted a scanner. So lo and behold, I was at the show and I ended up with this. This is a Bearcat crystalless, digital scanner from 1982. It's a Bearcat 2020. It has two banks of 20 channels that you can have it sweep through. And 'cause, where we live in Massachusetts, we're about, directly west of Boston, so I should be able to get some air traffic. I bought it purely to listen to air traffic. Not really that, I guess secondarily maybe for other things, but that was most of my reason. And guess what? I had the original manual. I got it for very reasonable money. It's in terrific shape. Just needs a little just dusting and just sort of the typical detailing, but it works pretty well. It's got that classic red LED display from classic from the 70s, like the calculators and digital watches of the day. And so I could pick up some. Actually, the strongest signal I get is actually in the 133 megahertz band, where I'm picking up basically departures from Logan Airport. So it's kind of fun. You can open up the FlightAware app and see, but it's for Boston Logan Airport, and see what flights are ready for departure. And sure enough, I've only played with it a little bit, and very clearly picked up a departing flight heading to Philadelphia, an American Airlines flight. It's crystal clear, and it's
You
pretty
okay
cool.
over there?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
fine. I'm just gonna finish
so
watching this and I'm gonna go to bed and read.
but but it was just, I kind of in the back of my mind, why I went, I saw the price was right, and it came with the manual, the original manual. So that was my purchase for the show. I did come away with a few pieces of vinyl records from Kenny Cool. He's always a great bender, and my niece recently got for Christmas a nice little phonograph and speakers from her parents for Christmas, and so I thought I'd indulge her. Her first album, and funny enough, it was my first cassette tape. I think I bought. Her first album was the Eagles' Greatest Hits, and so that was my first album. It was funny because I didn't tell her that, and she ended up as her first album that she wanted. So I picked up like America's Greatest Hits, figuring how could you not like America, right? And ended up with a Moody Blues album. So I picked a couple of random albums from Kenny for more than reasonable money. He's always super fair with his prices. So I'll deliver those to her when I see her next. But that was it. It was just a little fun little toy. It's kind of fun to listen to, and every so often I remember, geez, I remember when I was a kid we had a scanner, and I was kind of wanted one. So that, boys, was my only purchase. I kept it small in size and rather modest in price. So, and these little scanners work terrific. They still, granted, it's still fairly modern by today's standards, but hey, it's still 40, going on 45 years old, not quite, but so more than vintage by our definition. So, but
Easy
hey,
to sneak in the house too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Usually that's the first question asked. Okay, what did you get? And I was like, well, it was small.
That's pretty disciplined, John.
What's that?
I said that's pretty disciplined.
Yeah, yeah, well, it varies, believe me. I believe me, there are times when I'm like, oh, I really, really want this, but I have a couple more sets I think I'll get rid of, and then maybe I'll treat myself to something, nothing huge, but something a little bit more.
There were a couple of nice German portables at the show, weren't there?
Yeah, there were some. There was let's see, what was I looking at? Somebody grabbed a nice Nord Menda transistor set, nice multi-band set, I think for on the cheap. Um, Paul Lavoie had two terrific Telefunken Bajazzo, from like 67, 68, that they're multi-band transistor, solid state radio. And those are terrific radios because they really have great sensitivity and sound. I mean, for the package, they really are great radios. So if you're really looking for something, if you want something German or you can't you can still get them for reasonable money. I bought one at a show at one of our I think it was a Spring Brookline show probably 4 years ago, for like $50 in perfect and essentially perfect shape. Very, very minor little problems and cosmetic issues. And it sounds great. It runs great in the batteries, very battery efficient. It runs on the same batteries. I haven't changed them yet. Um, and has great reception, and I know now I know why my dad owned one of those because he did have one. He thought it was a terrific radio. And so I can speak very highly of them. But there
John,
is, sorry.
I was just going to say the Long Island CW Club has a Zoom session every week on boat anchors. And this week, it meets on Saturdays at 1 p.m. And this week is dedicated to restoring foreign radios. And if you're free at that time, I can give you the link. You're really supposed to be a member of the club to have that link, but I can invite you as a guest, and that goes for anybody else who'd be here. I have your email, John. If anybody else wants that, give me your email and I'll send you the link. It's a wonderful group, specializing in old ham radios primarily, but boat anchors of all types. And one other comment, you were talking about police radios and scanners and so on. I lived with my police radios constantly on when I lived in New York City for many, many, many years. And not only did I start out with tunable ones called monitor radios and eventually went over to crystal control, but I monitored the fire department frequency particularly because in New York City, when there's a fire, sometimes it's a really big fire. And New York City Fire Department built a special fire engine, which they called Super Pumper. And Super Pumper was an 18-wheeler with a huge marine diesel water pump on the back of it. And they would take that thing to big fires. And Super Pumper was so powerful that it had a bunch of satellite vehicles that mounted just the nozzles. And those nozzles would be, and Super Pumper would take in water from 5 or 10 fire hydrants at once because it couldn't get it all out of one hydrant. And when they fired that thing up and one of those nozzles was pointed at the wall of the building, they could actually punch a hole right through the cement and metal walls of those buildings to get at the fire. So I would wake up my kids at 3 o'clock in the morning and pile them and my wife in the car. We're going to see Super Pumper. And we go and see just the most amazing, amazing piece of machinery you could ever imagine.
Wow, that would have made an interesting piece for crowd control. Knock them down like
Hey,
bowling pins, right? Wow,
John,
that had to be impressive. Sorry, go ahead, Carl.
if you like aviation, put 123.45 in there.
Okay.
That's an unofficial plane-to-plane chat, and you'll hear some of the more interesting conversations between a couple of pilots who know each other or left together or going somewhere, and sometimes I've heard them in foreign languages. The second thing is if you live within a reasonable distance of a small airport, if you want to send me the name of the airport, I'll send you the frequencies for that.
And still another thing is that if you want to listen to the emergency frequency, it is 121.5. And anybody that gets in trouble in a small or a big airplane, puts out a Mayday on 121.5. And being in the New York City area, as I said, I always had a radio on that frequency, and there were a lot of airplanes that got into problems down there and would start asking for help.
I'll have to remember this now.
And by the way, that's AM, 121.5 AM, not FM.
Yeah, and it's saying, well, all the aircraft is AM.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was 123.45 is the
Yep.
plane to plane.
Yep.
Well, thanks for those tips there.
Have you had
and
a
Tom.
small airport near you?
Let's see. The closest thing I have, there is Marlborough Airport, which I think still operates, if memory serves, in Massachusetts. That's the closest one I could think of that's near me. And Stowe has a very small airport as well. I'm not sure which one is closer. I would say Marlborough probably is.
All right, I'll get them both for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that because it'd be, kind of fun just to slap them in. And there is also Norwood Airport now. Norwood from us, which is a more sizable airport, relative for a small airport,
Yep.
probably as a crow
No,
flies, is probably, I'm going to guess 12 miles, 10 to 12 miles from the house.
well, you at
Maybe
least
within.
hear the planes.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. If Carl, if you get a chance to drop that in, that'd be fun to listen to and plug in because I got 20 banks. I got two banks of 20 channels, and
What
so
town are you in, John?
I'm in Ashland.
Okay.
So I'm the close airport to me, like I said, is probably Marlborough. If the
All
store
right.
if it opens, I mean, who knows? Sometimes they tear these down, and put up a shopping mall. So, but the last I
Yep.
remember it was open. Um, last I recall. But for the big stuff, I'm directly about, yes, the crow flies probably about 20 to 25 miles directly west of Logan, which is why because like for us, I could look up in the sky straight up. Especially on like evenings, we're sitting out and dinner on a Saturday night, and right around between 5 and 7, I can see the aircraft flying directly over us, but they're European bound flights. They're all, they're way up there. They're not coming in for Logan, but we see enough planes heading out of Logan because they're only at about 3 or 4 thousand feet, probably at that point. That's what I'm picking up is departures. That seems to be my best frequency for pickup. But it does have a nice long, antenna. It's got about, a 3.5 foot antenna that comes standard with the radio. So it at least has some chance of picking things up. And I can pick up some lesser bands on the airport. It's just a little bit of the outer edge, like from the North Shore inbound, coming in for landing for approach. It's a bit hard to hear at times. It depends where the airplane is, where the aircraft is. But anyway, it's fun. For me, it's just a little bit of like walking the nostalgia, and I've always been fascinated by that. It's just having the peace in the house takes a little space, and that's what makes it fun, and
If you're in Ashland, you're close to the old New York Central main line, so you should look into the MBTA frequencies and TSX frequencies.
That's a good point
Yeah.
because
The
Framingham
railroad
is,
stuff's not encrypted. It's not digital. It's still the old style analog.
yeah.
They got forced down to the narrow band, so you got to turn the gain up. But
Oh, that's a good point there, Steve, because we've got the main lines running through Framingham as the crow flies. It can't be more than like 3 miles from the house.
yeah,
We can hear the
good
trains
act.
in the distance. In the distance, we're sitting out there. For us, it's kind of soothing. We like the sound of the train in the distance. You can hear the train horns. It's just part of. At least it's not like Woody Allen was. It was. I forgot what movie that was when it's. And it's like he lives like below the elevated train or whatever. It's like he's the food's going like back and forth. And I forgot what movie that was. Was it Annie Hall or something? I forget now. But
A quick story about Minuteman Airport, which is very close to the Digital Equipment Corporation DEC factory. And DEC had a day in which employees could go and take anything that they wanted out of the excess storeroom. And I had a friend, and we both got in my airplane. We flew up to Minuteman Airport, and we just pigged out on that equipment. I loaded the airplane. I was not thinking about how much weight I was putting in that airplane. And when it came to taking off, my, those trees at the end of the runway were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And right at the end, I did something that it's really a last ditch thing when you're flying. You pop your flaps, and the flaps on the airplane give you just a little bit of extra lift. And I made it, but boy, was that dumb.
And today, boys and girls, is what we learned about what a boat anchor is.
Yep, I mean, dumpster diving. I'm sure we've all done that. I may be the only person who got caught by the cops in a dumpster with my son. That's a different story. That was in New Jersey. The TRW company had a huge dumpster full of most wonderful stuff. And how could you resist? You get in this thing and you're pigging out, and pretty soon you notice the blue lights flashing up in the sky, and whoops, the cops are there. Luckily, they were in the same town that I was living in, and they didn't do anything, but they did say, you know, that's not really free. It's their garbage, not yours.
He says, "That's I was just looking for a sandwich." Oh, that's awesome. That's an awesome story. But well, guys, it's right at the top of the hour. We're finished exactly on time. It was a delightful meeting. Thanks for everyone's great sharing of interesting things, whether it came from NEVEE 8 or well, or from whatever you bought locally or other projects you've been working on. But it was terrific. The next meeting, I think I'll be able to. By the next meeting, I should have posted the videos, but I'll probably upload the pictures to an album. But we'll certainly go through the pictures. Maybe for next meeting, we get to see some of the goodies at the show. And at any rate, you guys have a great upcoming 2 weeks. The weather's trying to warm up, so that's all good news. And stay well, stay safe, and of course, we'll talk to you over Groups IO messages, and otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks
Thank you,
very much.
John.
Everybody, take
Great
care.
seeing you all. You take care.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Hey, John.
Yeah. What?
Just wanted to see it. Does this sound any better? I'm on my cell phone now.
It does sound better.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you?
So that tells me.
Have you
Tells me
checked?
it's not the Wi-Fi connection. It's actually the tablet.
Oh, maybe. What tablet are you using earlier?
Well, it's a Samsung.
Have you checked? Have you done a speed check on it?
I haven't, no. But I think what I'm
Maybe-
going to try doing is uninstalling the app and reinstalling.